Stop. Most people are killing their lawn this autumn and the problems are getting locked in before they realise.
You won't see the damage until spring. You're going to have bare patches, weak grass and moss locked in.
100%, Jason. These are common long-term mistakes that are easily fixed whenever you know how. And best of all, you're going to get the best lawn possible this spring. Now let's go.
First mistake is don't scalp your lawn in autumn. One of the best things to do is raise the height of cut throughout autumn.
The reason for this is because your grass can't photosynthesize properly. Your grass makes and stores a lot of its energy within the leaf of a grass. So if you think of my arm as being a blade of grass, if you take too much off, then you're taking away the grass's ability to make and store that energy. As you come into the autumn time and through the winter, then your grass doesn't grow as much. The sun doesn't sit as high in the sky, so your lawn naturally gets less light. The more we can do to help protect the grass, the better. The next problem we see is compaction. People ignore aeration and then they wonder why they have moss, puddles and bare patches in their lawn over winter.
Compacted soil is like a sponge that has been pressed flat. There is no more space for air or water to pass through. Don't forget, always relieve compaction, whether it's with a fork or an aerator.
If you have a big lawn and you don't know where to start, I'd always recommend starting on the places of the high wear areas where you'd walk on and off the lawn or around the washing line, for example. What's number 3 on our list?
Scarification.
Why is scarification important?
Well, who loves to do it more? Importantly, is it? What's harder?
Is scarifying or aerating by hand harder? Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, that'll be a good one to see what people's thoughts are.
I think aeration's harder. You think scarifying's harder? Maybe, potentially?
Well, depends on the back.
Yeah, on the back.
Yeah.
So why do we scarify?
To remove the thatch and moss layer between, well, that sits just above your soil.
Yeah, so you have a natural layer. Some grasses collect more thatch than other grasses, but whatever you have that barrier layer, then it's going to stop air, water and light getting down through. So the moss grows in the thatch layer. A lot of people get mixed up with moss being the thatch layer, but moss grows in the thatch layer, and it's important to maintain a healthy thatch layer.
Yes.
We don't want to remove it all. So who's going to be doing the scarifying on this one?
We are.
Off you go. So we're doing this video and unfortunately it started to rain. Now cameras and rain don't really get on the best, so we'll see what we'll try and do. Hopefully we'll get this video done for you. So I'm going to say this is less than ideal weather conditions. You can see that the leaves are wet. We're having a bit of a shower here at the minute, so we're going to be under a bit of pressure to get this done. So our next step, this video's sort of going off the rails a bit. Our next step, we're going to do some raking. Now these big rakes, go ahead Jason, you just work away. Jason's got his coat on there.
Yes, we are raking.
So the key with these rakes is, I've talked about these in the past, these are brilliant for scarifying because they do a really good job, but not only that, you can use them and not hurt your back. So Jason talks about the royal we because often I get him to do the work while I do the filming, but in this occasion, because it's raining pretty hard behind me, I'm going to have to put this camera on and get cracked on. So now that we've got this all cleared up, the next step is we're going to do some seeding. Seeding's a really good opportunity to thicken up your lawn. Some of the reasons for doing it is it stops weed grasses from coming in. It's also going to stop mosses and everything else taking over your lawn over the winter months, because the moss will carry on growing whenever your grass stops. So it's important to keep your lawn thick. So next up, we're going to be using our Boston Seeds Premier seed mixture. This is a dwarf rye and a fescue. So we use this little spinner here. It does a fantastic job. We talked about this in last week's video. Anybody that didn't see it, it has an edge guard on it. Jason's going to do a quick demonstration of what this edge guard is. So go ahead, Jason, so that's it on, go ahead. You can see that it only throws the seed over to the one side. Now that's the same if you're going to be using fertilizer as well, obviously. And then let's open it up and put it on full. Go ahead. So you can see it's thrown out full wide. So that's why we really like this little hand spinner, because we have a professional fertilizer spreader that costs an awful lot of money and everyone's always asking us. So I think this is a really good solution. So our next job is to do the soil. The reason we use soil, now we use this soil as it's lawn seeding soil. We use this as heat treated and it's weed free. There's no point doing all that work to your garden and then getting a cheap soil that you don't know what kind of material is in it. Is there any weed seeds in it? So this stuff here is actually specifically designed for what we're doing. Now it has been raining and there's more rain coming. So this is less than ideal conditions that you'd want to top dress in. If you're going to be top dressing your lawn, ideally you'd want to be doing it on a dry day. Windy day is good as well because it dries out the top dressing and it makes it easier to work that top dressing into the soil. But we are where we are, so let's get on with it. Anyone new to lawn care, these are fantastic little tools for getting soil evenly onto a lawn. They're known as a compost spreader or compost roller. Now, if you didn't think you had a good coverage of soil or seed under your lawn, you could, on occasion we'll do this as well. We'll put seed in here. We're not doing that today because we're under a wee bit of pressure. We need to get done and we got a good covering of seed on the lawn anyway. But if you didn't think you got a good amount of seed onto your lawn, then you can mix seed in this and put it on that way too. Generally we get between 10 and 13 metres per bag on the lawn. This lawn's wet, so we're probably going to use more than we would usually use. You can see there the nice even coverage that gets you with a compost roller. You can't do that with a spade or a shovel. It's very hard to put on a really even amount. So an important thing to bear in mind if you're going to be top dressing your lawn, we use a soil as it levels. Compost is equally really good to use on your lawn anytime you're seeding, but there's one distinct difference between soil and compost. Compost is going to break down, and that means if you're using it to level your lawn, whenever it breaks down, you're not going to get that leveling effect from it. That's why we use a soil and not a compost.
Now it's usually time for a cup of tea whilst this dries in, but given the weather, I may as well just crack on.
So we'll have a selection of tools to work the material into the lawn. Now that's important for a lot of key reasons. We want to, number one, level the lawn, but we also don't want to smother the grass, the existing grass that's there. So we want to work the soil into the lawn the best we can. Now, as Jason says, we usually have a cup of tea, but there's no drying today. In fact, as I sit here, it's probably getting wetter. So we've got a few different tools that we use here. I bought that a while back and we put it into the cheapest lawn care tools you can buy on Amazon. We found that to be a really good job. These rakes are also quite good, as you can use. You can use the back of them, but they don't do a lot of leveling, but they're good to work the surface in. We also have the drag mat. So let's get these tools out and see how well we can get this damp material worked into the lawn. So that's doing quite a good job. You can see that it's pulling the grass up, but it's not really doing any leveling as such.
Let's see how the lawn loop performs. Some of you may know it as a lawn leveler.
can see just here where Jason's working, there's a bit of a hole there. So what we're going to put some soil in that. We'll do that towards the end and fill in any other big holes or dips that are in the lawn, and in that area will have to be seeded as well.
So I've been handed the camera now, so it looks like Robbie does some work.
So now all that's matted in, we're going to actually, and the rain stopped, we're going to do a bit more leveling. So we're going to fill in some of those holes and those bigger dips in and around the lawn. Now that's our next task. Your own lawn, you probably know where the dips are, but I'm going to show you a little giveaway tip. Anywhere you see the grass, there's a little tuft of grass there. So I know right away, there's a good chance that there's a hole right there. So that's one of the areas we're going to fill in. And we also have some to fill in here. So put that there. There's probably too much there, although it never fails to amaze me whenever you start spreading it out, how far out a small hole starts. It always ends up a lot bigger than what you think, and that's why filling in holes in your lawn, it can be really tricky trying to work out exactly how much material you need. But some of that is probably going to go into the other hole beside it. You can see quickly just how far that one bag has totally disappeared whenever you go to start filling in holes in your lawn and how much you need. We'll get a lot of questions about how much soil will I need to fill in my bumpy lawn, and that's the main reason why you could never really give somebody a really accurate response, because it's just too hard to tell.
Time to do my little dance.
So your feet is enough to press in an area such as that, just to compact it down in. In general, there is a few humps and hollows on this lawn. What I would say, if you have a space like this, and if there's a few undulations in your lawn, think of it as like a 2 or 3 year project, doing this every autumn or fall for our American viewers and Canadian viewers. Think about doing it over time. It's very hard, and you probably wouldn't be able to do it anyway to get it perfectly level on that first season. So think of it as like a multi-season operation. So before we put the seed onto this here, I roughed it up with the rake. That's a really important thing because it does a couple of different things. So you can see some tufts of grass there. So we're not smothering the existing lawn that's there. We also want to give the seed something to catch on to. So whenever we put seed down on top of this here, because we're going to have to seed this bit again, then the seed's going to get a nice firm grip into the soil. So just before the rain comes on, because I can see it coming over the hill, Jason, what's the next important task anytime you put seed down on the lawn?
We need to either stamp all over it to bed it in or give it a rake, but we're going to do my dance again.
So now we've got all that matted in, what's the most important thing, Jason?
It's time to grow some carpet with
some pre-seeder fertilizer and some seaweed. Let's go.
Why do we call it pre-seeder when we put it on after?
Yeah, pre-seeder, I Go Carpet. Link down in the video description. This is my own brand if you want to help support me. But putting on pre-seeder after you put on grass seed is really good. Go ahead, Jason, throw it in there. After this, we're going to put on some I Grow Carpet seaweed. Seaweed is really good to put on the lawn after you overseed, as it has lots of growth hormones and it really helps get the seed off to a good start. While Jason puts on the I Grow Carpet, iron and seaweed onto the lawn, I'm going to give you a really good bonus tip, because this is something my advice has changed. So if you've stayed this far into the video, thank you very much. Earlier on in the year we did a test patch video and we cut new grass from seed, and we cut it right away, right at the very start. And what we found was it doesn't matter when you cut new grass from seed, as long as you always follow the 1/3 rule. Now I'm going to link that video now, so if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about, watch the video that's on next.